Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me to discuss the short seller's place in the market is Andrew Left, activist short seller and founder and executive editor at Citron Research, well known for identifying overvalued stocks and fraudulent practices. Andrew, it's great to see you. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Nice to be here.
All right, Andrew, what's the goal of Citron Research and what's the process like? How do you identify the companies you report on?
I mean, for 20 years, we've been exposing whether it be fraudulent companies or companies that are misrepresenting the truth to the marketplace, or possibly just the other side of the story that sell-side research is not going to present because they're incentivized to say something different.
Yeah, that's my next question. How are you different from other types of journalism or media platforms? And you're absolutely right, especially with sell-side analysts, they're going to need that access to management. So I think the content that you put out there is pretty valuable.
I like to think so. I started Citron around 20 years ago. Can't believe it's 20 years. And since then, there's been many other activist short sellers, blogs, whatever you want to call them, boutique research firms, whatever they may be. And it's actually made the market, it's made things easier on the Nasdaq and the SEC because it's made the market self-regulating.
There's a narrative out there that short sellers are bad for the market and it's unpatriotic. If markets are created by buying and selling, how is that possible? Like, what's the short
That
seller's
narrative
place
is
in the
put
market?
out by anyone who suspends that narrative is just naive.
Right.
Short selling has been around for 100 years. It actually allows people to hedge. If the nature of short selling, it adds liquidity to the market, keeps the markets in check. So it's a great function to the market. The reason why the U.S. gets the best listings of any listing of any exchange in the world. Well, I mean, why does Alibaba trade in the U.S.? Why did IPO in the U.S.? Because our exchange gives liquidity, has trust in it, and the reason why it has that is because it allows functions like short selling.
Are there any disadvantages to being a short seller?
Every disadvantage. The question would be, are there any advantages to being a short seller? Which is there's none. Obviously, we're in a market that, I mean, you saw there was a big high-profile IPO today that's trading at some astronomical numbers, and it's just we're seeing right now a hot market right now. So being short anything in this market is extremely dangerous. Just by momentum, it seems to be the trade over the past 9 years.
Yeah, the chart certainly from the bottom left to the very top of the right. Is there a sector or sectors that your team gravitates to?
I mean, anything that might have you could see fraud related, or things that which stay away from valuation names. I've learned my lesson as a short seller. Things that are expensive can just get more expensive. But if I think a company is misrepresenting the truth, and there's another company that's being publicly traded that you can compare it to, I like that. So we really gravitate to wherever we can actually prove our thesis.
Well, the expectation of volatility around the election impact your process. And do you have any final thoughts on a higher level with the market into the end of the year with the number of volatility outliers on the horizon?
I mean, obviously the election is going to play a factor into the market. There'll be specific names that are related to, let's say, credit that will be more sensitive to the outcomes of the election. But right now, we're not seeing any of that in the market. There's so many different factors, obviously. Has the market kind of ahead of itself, shut down, Main Street versus Wall Street. So there's many sub-themes that are playing out. But right now, the theme that's dominating is a Fed-driven market, and it seems to just keep going higher. So as an investor, I'm just being selective what I own and being selective what I short.
All right, Andrew, great to see you. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.